So good morning everyone. Okay, so how was your weekend? I hope you had a very nice weekend, a restful one, right? Okay, so if you remember in my last week's lesson, I gave you an assignment. Do you remember? Yes, I told you to write a persuasive letter to your parents. And I told you that you submit that to your teacher, isn't it? Okay, how many of you have done that? I guess all of you, right? So now I want you to show the same letter to your parents and see if they are convinced or not. See if you succeeded in persuading them, right? Because we learned how to write a persuasive letter, isn't it? We discussed about opinion writing and also persuasive writing other than argumentative writing. So I just want to see how many of you have done that, and if you have done that, if you have submitted the same to your teacher, now it's time you rewrite the letter and give it to your parents and see if they are convinced. Okay, so for this week we are going to discuss text structure and craft, at least for today. And in the first session, Gideon's Targila had already discussed about different text structure that is a part of prose. Okay, so in my session, I'm going to deal with the basic differences between poetry, prose, and drama. Okay, so Gideon's Targila, whatever Gideon's Targila had covered comes under the prose section. Okay, so let's look at the slide. Okay, so kinds of text. So since you learned about text structure, Gideon Targila already told you about how authors or writers choose different structure in order to convey what they want to, right? So depending on that, see, kinds of text that you can see is poetry, prose, and drama. Okay, at the very basic level I am discussing, keeping in mind the class in which you are reading right now. Okay. So prose, we have narrative as well as expository. So if you remember, we did narrative writing. Okay, I have taken the session on narrative writing, right, where we learned about fictional and non-fictional writing, right, and personal narrative as well. And Gideon Targila took sessions on expository writing, if you remember, right. And then we have persuasive, argumentative, all this comes under prose. So one by one we are going to look at the difference, because this is all part of reading. Now earlier we discussed writing, because everything is connected, because you might have heard your teacher tell you that if you do more reading, your writing will also improve, isn't it? If you keep the 4 language skills in mind, right? LSRW, right? Listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So in the previous week we talked about writing types, and then text structure. Here we are focusing more on the reading part, the reading skill, because whenever you read a piece of writing, what is important is that not just trying to get what the author wants to tell. It's important for us to identify what sort of writing is this based on the structure, right? That is why it is very important that you understand the text structure, so that you get an idea what sort of text you are reading. Because all writings are not same, they have their own structure. Are you getting me, or is it a little confusing? See, no need to worry, it's quite simple. See, like you have different dishes that you eat, right? All come in different form, different packaging. Your dresses comes in different style and shape, right? In the same way, your writing also comes in different structure, form, types. Okay, so this is what we are going to discuss. Okay. So poetry, prose, and drama. And then prose is again like we have narrative and expository. Even for poetry, there are so many different types of poetry. So we are not going to discuss that. Okay. So only thing you need to learn is, okay, if I happen to see this sort of text structure, this is a piece of poetry. If I happen to see this sort of written piece, this is a type of prose. And if the writing is having this things or features, I can say that this is a piece of drama. So this is how you need to identify, right? Okay. See, so just to understand the basic differences between or amongst poetry, prose and drama. See, poetry, or you can say poem. See, poem, the American accent, the British accent, poem. Not poem, but poem. Okay, please listen to me again. Poem is the British accent, poem is American. Okay, it's not poem. Okay, keep that in mind. Poem, see, poem. Poem is British accent and the American is poem. Okay, and I think now this will be clear to you. So it's written in lines. Okay, poetry written in lines. Prose is written in sentences, whereas drama we find dialogues, acts and scenes. Okay, and then see how we can identify a piece of poetry from a prose is that in poetry we have groups of lines that form a stanza, whereas in prose we have groups of sentences that make paragraphs. Okay, and in drama it's a little different, right? We have dialogues and we have stage directions and the script. So in poetry we have beats or rhythm, right? And in prose we have chapter. See, prose is we can say ordinary form of writing. It can be creative, right? It may or may not be creative like poetry. It depends. Okay, so in poetry, see, most of the poetry pieces you find rhyme. Okay, so that's why I've written many of these rhyme. So in prose is a regular writing. It's an ordinary form of writing, or we can say the most common form of writing. Okay, and see, in drama we have something that begins with a cast of character. Okay, so when the drama starts, it starts with the casting, right, of character. So this is just to help you get an idea about, okay, poetry, prose and drama. So I have just kept this in one table so that you can just look at and see, oh, this is the difference. See, while poetry you see lines, whereas in prose you see sentences. Stanzas, in prose, paragraphs, right? In poetry you have stanzas, in prose, paragraphs. And prose is like, it's an ordinary form of writing. It's not very, you can say, written in a rhythmic way like poetry. Okay. So poetry and its purpose. So poetry is so I have tried to bring here as simple as possible a definition that you would be able to connect with, okay, keeping your level in mind. Okay, class 5 and 6. So, see, there are many definitions for poetry. Different poets have given definition to poetry in their own way, right? William Wordsworth, Shakespeare, and so I have just brought one of the, I should say, simplest form of definition for you. So, poetry is an artistic writing. So, you can easily say that, yes, poetry is a piece of writing, right? So, it is an artistic writing. Okay, that attempts to stir readers' imagination or emotions. See, what happens when you read a piece of poetry? You can have that feeling, isn't it? The poet, in a way, has kind of stirred your emotions, your feelings. Doesn't this happen to you? See, each time we read a piece of poetry, what happens? You start thinking in the way the author or the poet wants you to, right? Because the words are in a way decorated, or you can say the use of so many literary devices or figures of speech make it so appealing, right? There's a beauty in it. Okay, so why the purpose? So we will look at what is the purpose of poetry. Okay, it's to entertain, right? The first purpose is to entertain and then to express a thought or feelings at your level in a way. I think if you can remember this, right, what actually is a piece of poetry? What is the purpose? Why poets write piece of poetry, right? It's to entertain, it's to express a thought or feeling. Okay. And then, see, having learned what actually is a poem, or what was that second accent? Pronunciation, poem. Okay, right. So, poetry's definition and then the purpose of poetry. So, now we will look at the elements. Okay, so elements of a poetry. So, when I talk about elements of a poetry, I just want you to quickly remember the elements of a story, if you remember. in our previous sessions, we talked about the elements of a story. Character, setting, plot, isn't it? We have problem or conflict, solution, resolution, isn't it? So, in the same way, we have elements in a piece of poetry. What are the things that we can look at when you have a piece of poetry? Okay. So, let us look at what are the different elements. Line, okay, not sentence, but line. Okay, please remember that. In poetry, we have line, not sentences. So, line breaks. Unlike in prose, we have sentences, right? So, line, that is a single row of words in a poem. Then we have stanza. So, a group of lines in a poem. So, that makes the stanza. Okay, in prose, I told you group of sentences make paragraph. And then in poetry, we have rhythm, right? The flow of sound and the beat of poem. See, even we hear this rhythm in so many things happening around us. Okay, not to look around, just our own heartbeat, isn't it? So, if you feel your heartbeat, you hear the rhythm. Okay, see in Tibetan we say tak 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 tak, say tak 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 tak. Okay, and then in English we usually say, or in science I remember, lub dub, lub dub, lub dub. There's a rhythm. Okay, our heart also beats in a rhythm. So, in poetry we find rhythm. Okay. Okay, look at the slide. So, the flow of sound, like I gave you the example of heartbeat. Okay, so in poetry you have beat, and that beat is called rhythm, which is the flow of sound. Okay, so the meter, I don't know if it's appropriate at your level. Okay, so if you can just remember rhythm, I think it's fine at your level, class 4 and 5. Okay, so repetition, we have repetition, lines or words that are repeated. Then you have rhyme, so words that have same ending sound. Okay, so words with same ending sound, this is rhyme. And then we have theme, the lesson or message that the poem conveys. So, these are the elements of a poetry. So, at your level, what you can remember is line, stanza, okay, rhythm, then rhyme, I think rhyme, repetition, that would be fine. Okay, for class 5 and 6 your level, line, stanza, rhythm, repetition and rhyme, that would be fine. Okay, because there are more elements in a way. So, at your level I think you can keep that in mind. Okay, quickly go through that, line, stanza, rhythm, repetition and rhyme, that would be fine. Okay. Now, what we will do is, since this particular session is for grade 5 and 6 students, so I have tried to bring in the sample poems, prose and drama from your textbook. Okay. So, we will quickly look at the sample poetry pieces of poem from class 5 and 6. Okay. So, that you can just see, oh, since I can see this type of structure, okay, this text structure. So, because the elements or the things that we discussed about poetry, you have to see if the things, the piece of, you can say, writing that I am going to show, does it fit there or not? Okay, you look at the elements. Okay. The ice cream man, if you remember, okay, this is from your textbook, okay, NCERT textbook. When summer's in the city and breaks a blaze of heat, the ice cream man and his little cart goes trundling down the street. So, I have highlighted heat and street. If you can tell me why. Heat, street. So, since you are in class 5 and 6, I am sure you all know, right? These are rhymes. Okay, this heat rhymes with street. So, when summer is in the city and breaks a blaze of heat, the ice cream man with his little cart goes trundling down the street. So, heat and street, they rhyme. And see, when the summer is in the city, this is not a sentence, right? So, this is the line, because the line is here in a way. You can see a line break here. When the summer is in the city and breaks a blaze of heat. So, how many lines here? 4 lines, and this forms a stanza. Okay. And what you need to remember is stanzas are in a way separated by a space or line gap. Okay. Beneath his round umbrella, oh, what a joyful sight to see him fill the cones with mounds of cooling brown and white. Again, you have seen, I have highlighted sight and white. Sight, white, same ending sound, right? Rhyme. And this is a 4-line stanza. See, what you also need to remember is not all stanzas are made up of 4 lines. Okay, stanzas can have different number of lines. Clear? Vanilla, chocolate, strawberry or chilly things to drink from bottles full of frosty fields, green, orange, white or pink. Again, there is one stanza you see of 4 lines, and you have rhyme, drink, pink. So, about rhyme scheme and rhyming pattern we will learn later on, okay, when we study how to read and write poetry. Okay. So, we are right now focusing only on the structure or the structural elements of a poetry. His cart might be a flower bed of roses and sweet peas, the way the children cluster round as thick as honey bees. So, you can see peas and bees rhyme. Okay. And then you can see there is a space between or a gap, okay, between the 2 stanzas, right. So, looking at this you can identify, okay, you can say that, oh, this is a piece of poetry and not a prose and not a drama. Okay. Let us look at another sample. Teamwork, okay, again from your textbook. Teamwork, teamwork, together we can make our dream work. Then we will share the joy of what we have done. Teamwork, everyone. Okay, you can just focus on the highlighted part as well. It's fun to shoot the basketball through the hoop, but if nobody passes, then nobody shoots. And the relay race just can't go on if nobody wants to pass the baton. We are the parts that make up the whole, and we have got our eyes on a common goal. Sometimes it can be a big plus when a you or a me becomes an us. See, there's a very powerful message, okay, the poem conveys, isn't it, about teamwork. So, you can see teamwork, dream work. So, work, work, rhymes, and then done and won. So, you can see later on when you learn about the rhyme scheme A, B, B, right, done and won, right, everyone. What we have done, everyone, right, and then you have on and baton. So, in a way, you can just see it's not very specific. Then you have whole and goal, plus and us. Okay. And here again what you see is 4-line stanza. It's a 3-stanza poem. Okay. So, and each stanza consists of 4 lines. Okay. So, what you need to remember is line and sentence, these are different. Okay. A sentence ends with a period, that is a full stop. Okay. The conveys a whole meaning, whereas in poetry you don't see that, right. Sometimes a line may be a sentence, but it may not always be. Okay. Look at another one. Okay. Now, this one here, what you see is the stanza is not of 4 lines. Okay. Beauty is seen in the sunlight, the trees, the birds, corn growing and people working or dancing for their harvest. Beauty is heard in the night, wind sighing, rain falling, or a singer chanting, anything in earnest. Okay. So, now if you notice, see, I have highlighted, okay, some of the words. So, these are in a way like internal rhymes, corn growing, working. So, they don't appear at the end of the line, okay, growing, working, dancing. Then you have, see, sighing, falling, chanting, anything. Okay. So, this is again a poem with 5-line stanza, not 4-line. Okay, a stanza made up of 5 lines. Okay, you can just see, like I told you that a stanza need not necessarily be of 4 lines. Okay. Beauty is in yourself. And here what do you see? The first 2 stanzas are made up of 5 lines, right? And the final stanza is made up of 6 lines. Beauty is in yourself, good deeds, happy thoughts that repeat themselves in your dreams, in your work, and even in your rest. So I have a color like highlighted this in pink. This is to show that there is a repetition. Okay, this is not rhyme. Okay, here in your see, in your dreams, in your work, and even in your rest. So this is repetition. See, the phrase in your is repeated in these 3 lines. Okay, so this is how poets play with words and phrases in order to entertain the readers, or you can say in a way express their ideas and feelings and stir your feelings and imagination at the same time. Okay. So like with these samples, I hope you get an idea about the structural elements of a poetry, how a piece of poetry may look like, how you can identify. Okay. So the second one is prose. Okay. So we'll go to look at that. See, I'm showing the same table so that you can just compare time and again in a way. Poetry we have in a way finished. Now prose, I told you it is written in sentences, and group of sentences make paragraphs. It has chapters, okay, unlike stanzas, or you can say you have paragraphs and then you have chapters, and it's a regular writing, okay, or you can say ordinary form of writing without much decoration in a way, unlike poetry. Okay, so let's look at what a prose is. So prose is a type of writing in its ordinary form. Okay, the normal thing like even when you speak. Okay, so it is most common form of writing. So in terms of writing, or in terms of like, say, spoken language as well, we most of the time use prose. Okay, purpose: to inform, to entertain, to persuade, to describe. Now here I just want you to form connection with what you learned during writing types. In writing types, you learned about narrative writing, descriptive writing, expository writing, and persuasive writing, if you remember that. And now you will see prose, like we have fiction, non-fiction, right? Expository, you have narratives. So here you will understand that, okay, what is the purpose of writing prose? Then you can connect with the type of writing that you have learned earlier, right? Informative. So to inform here through informative writing. So purpose of prose, the first is to inform. So how are you going to inform? By what type of writing? Informative writing or expository writing. So there you are going to use this, right? Because your purpose is to inform. Okay, informative writing. And then you have to entertain. So you have different pieces. So stories, you have narrations, okay? And then see, even in like writing types, you have like, so here since we are talking about the prose, so we will not go to other types. So it's entertaining. So how you are going to decorate, or how are you going to add elements of, you can say, and how your elements so that your readers are entertained. Then you have persuade, like your one purpose is to persuade through persuasive writing, of course, right? So we learned about persuasive writing as well. And then when you want to describe, what sort of writing you are going to adopt? Of course, descriptive writing. So you will see how all these things are connected, isn't it? Earlier we learned about writing types, and today we are focusing on reading. And so what you will see is, you will see the connection. Okay, the authors had written something, right? They have in a way chosen a type of writing to convey their ideas, thoughts, or message, whatever it is. And as a reader, when we are reading that piece, what are we trying to look at? Oh, this is a persuasive piece of writing. Okay, this is a piece of poetry. This is a piece of prose, and that which tends to inform us this. Oh, this is an informative writing. So earlier we learned about writing types, and now you are connecting it with reading. When you are reading something, you look at the structural element. Okay, you look at how this is organized, and then you see, oh, this is a persuasive writing. Oh, this is a descriptive writing. This is a piece of poetry. This is a piece of prose. This is a drama. Right? That's very important. Okay. Okay. So look at the next slide. So what are the elements of a prose? Like we have in story. Okay. You have character, setting, plot, same elements like that of in a story. But here we have point of view as well, which is also there in story, theme, and then mood. Okay, so the elements of a prose, whether it's a fiction or non-fiction, okay, or a narrative writing. So you have these elements: character, setting, plot, point of view, theme, and mood. Okay. Now this is a sample I have taken from your textbook. Okay, and I have written the 2 paragraphs in different colors so that you can see that there are sentences that make a paragraph. Okay, and see a prose piece. So this is not the whole chapter. I have just taken one extract. Okay. So if you just read, in a village in Iran there once lived a shepherd. He was very poor. He did not have even a small cottage of his own. He had never been to school or learned to read and write, for there were very few schools in those days. So you can see this is a very, you can say, a common like way of writing, ordinary form of writing. Okay, it's no decorative things, isn't it? So this is what a prose is. Okay, and you can see it's not we don't see line break, but sentences, isn't it? In a village in Iran there once lived a shepherd. He was very poor. See a whole sentences. So this is a paragraph and not a stanza. Okay, in poetry you have seen stanza, right? So see, though poor and uneducated, this shepherd was very wise. He understood people's sorrows and troubles. See, all straight things, right? No decorative things. You don't see. In sometimes the prose pieces may be like the writers can be very creative. Okay, and then they might add so many, you can say, literary devices. Okay, but it may not always be the case like poetry. Okay, so this is just to help you get an idea about sample prose. Okay, so I have taken this from your textbook. Okay, so like 2 paragraphs. Okay, so let's look at another one. Okay, there are more than 2,300 different kinds of snakes around the world, ranging from just 15 centimeters long to more than 11 meters. So what do you think this, what sort of text is this? Though you know, okay, it's a prose, what sort of writing? Now that you have learned about different types of writing, is it descriptive writing? Does you can say, does it appeal to all your senses? No, it's more kind of, you can say, informative writing, isn't it? So you are like being informed. Okay, a fact is in a way presented. So more than 2,300 different kinds of snakes around the world, ranging from just 15 centimeters long to more than 11 meters. Most snakes are quite harmless, but there are a few that are so poisonous they can kill a human being with just one bite. So no descriptive writing here. Okay, it's not a descriptive writing because you don't have all those elements or literary devices used here that could appeal to your senses. Okay, it's all kind of facts being presented to you, informative writing. So prose can be that also, right? So this is a 1 paragraph, you can say, a piece of prose I have just extracted from your textbook. Okay, now again I want you to look at it, right? The poetry part is over, the prose, okay, it's a regular writing, okay, and it has chapters also, but I haven't brought all the chapters here, okay, just to help you get an idea what actually a prose looks like. So then we have drama. Okay, drama is written in acts and scenes. Act 1, act 2, like scene 1, scene 2. So like you have in schools, you might have performed short plays. So the younger kids, I just assume that you might have performed readers' theatre script, or you have done some sort of role plays, isn't it? Okay, so when you grow up, you will learn more about theatre and then acts and all. Okay, 1 act play and other. So in drama you have dialogues and stage directions, okay, that form the script. Okay, play script you can call, or you have the reader's theatre script, isn't it? So it has characters and dialogues and begins with a cast of character. Okay, so purpose. Okay, drama and its purpose, I meant to say. It is a story that has a script. So drama usually tells a story. Okay, but the way it tells is through enactment in a way. The characters perform it, okay, on stage. So it's a story that has a script and can be acted out in front of an audience. So the purpose is to entertain, to communicate thoughts, ideas, emotions and feelings. So through drama, many a time, so many social issues are raised. Okay, a strong message is conveyed through drama. And it also in a way share human experience and presents visual and oral experience for the audience, because the characters perform on stage. So you can see the things, because the characters, they use props, isn't it? You have different costumes they wear, and then they act. You can see the actors or the characters perform, and then you hear the dialogues as well. Okay, so it's a presentation of both visual as well as oral. Okay, and then what you need to remember is elements of a drama: acts, scenes, okay, characters, narrator, setting. Like in story, in drama also you have setting. Then we have dialogue, stage direction, script. Okay, and points to remember, okay, when it comes to drama. So name of the characters is written in bold and on the left side. Okay, so whenever you see a script, you will find that the character's name is written in bold letter and it's on the left side. Okay, and what also you will notice is there's a colon used between the character's name and the dialogue. Okay, stage direction is written in brackets or italic. Okay, you will often find that the stage direction, which is not the dialogue of the character, okay, it's just the stage direction, what the character is going to do. Okay, it's written in bracket and in italic. Okay, italic form. Scenes in drama are like chapters in prose. Okay, if you remember, like in poetry we have lines that make stanzas. Okay, so lines in poetry are like sentences in prose. The stanzas in poetry is like what? Paragraph in prose. Okay, so in the same way, like in prose we have chapters. Okay, so the chapters in prose are like the scenes in drama. Okay, like in prose or fictions or the storybooks you read, you have different chapters, right? Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. So in drama you have scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. Okay. Okay, scenes in drama are like chapters in prose, if you can remember. Okay. Okay, now look at the sample drama. See, I couldn't find a sample drama from class 5 and 6 textbook. So I preferred choosing one from class 4, because you have all gone through class 4's textbook, right? So this is a sample drama from class 4, because I just wanted something that you could easily connect with, that you have already learned. Okay, so or like I don't know if you have, when you learn that story or the drama, prose, poetry, whether you have looked at all the elements or not, but now I want you to do that. Okay, so I told you this narrator, isn't it? Narrator. So this is a, you can say, excerpt I have taken from The Giving Tree, okay, from class 4's textbook. So the narrator is reading this part. Okay, once there was a tree and it loved a little boy. Every day the boy would visit the tree and enjoy its company. Now the characters in this story are tree and the boy, other than the narrator. Okay, the characters. Now if you can just look at, I have written tree in bold. Can you see that? Boy is also written in bold because they are the characters. Okay, and you will also see that there is a colon between the character's name and the dialogue. Okay, the character's name is here, the tree is the character, the dialogue here is come here my boy. So you will see a colon in between, isn't it? Tree, come here my boy. So when you actually enact it, what you would do is, see, like you can see the way the tree sound may be little different from the boy. Come here my boy. Okay, come and climb up my trunk and swing from my branches. Now boy, so now what you see is the pink portion, swinging from branches. I have written it in italic, isn't it? It's in bracket also, because this is stage direction. When this is performed on stage, so this is the direction. What should be there? See, the boy should be swinging from the branches when he says this word, when he delivers his dialogue. Okay, swinging from the branches. So this is not something the boy has to speak out or read. This happens like small kids, when your teacher tells you to read from your Reader's Theatre script or any other play script. So if you are not aware of this, what happens is sometimes you even read this. This is not supposed to be read, but this is the stage direction. You have to act, okay, you have to do that way, because this is a sort of direction given to you, what the actor should do at that point of time. Okay, but what happens sometimes, the small kids, they get confused and that they start reading this as well. Okay, and this is not the, you can say, right thing to do, right? So swinging from branches, and what he says, ah, what fun. Okay, this is his dialogue. Ah, what fun. Now 3. Are you hungry? Eat my apples. And then boy, right, eating apples. Now this is what he needs to do. He should be eating apples. Okay, because this is stage direction. Okay, and then he should say, how delicious. Okay, now this is the narrator's part. When the boy was tired, he slept under the tree. The tree was happy to give its shade. But time went by and the boy grew older and went away. Okay, so I am not going to read the whole thing. Okay, this is just to help you get an idea about how a play script or a piece of drama may look like at your level. Okay. Then apart from your textbook, I have brought another sample, okay, from Reader's Theatre script. So Chicken Little. So you can see characters. There are 7 characters. Okay, narrator, Chicken Little, Cocky Locky, Ducky Lucky, Goosey Lucy, Turkey Lurkey, Foxy Loxy. Okay, so these are the names of the characters. So you might have read this story. Okay, so I thought it would be easier for you to connect. So you see, narrator. So characters, I told you in drama you have characters, narrator, right? So this all in a way shows that, okay, there are 7 characters, the name of the characters are also written, and then this is the narrator's part of dialogue, right? One bright sunny day, Chicken Little was picking up corn in a barnyard, see? And then see the dialogue of Chicken, oh, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. So this is how the script goes like this. Okay, this is just to help you get an idea about, okay. Now you can see this is different from prose and poetry, isn't it? Okay, let's look at another sample, the magic carpet ride. So you have 2 characters, star 1, star 2. And the setting, I told you in drama you have setting as well, right? 2 children are playing in a field. So this is the setting. And what they find? They find a dirty old carpet. Okay, so this is the setting, so I have highlighted in different color. So star 1, star 2, these are the characters. Hey, look at this. Star 2, help me shake the dirt off. Did you feel that? Star 2, yes. Okay, so this is how. Okay, and then this part I just want you to look at, because I have the highlighted part or portion of the script in pink. So these are the stage directions. Okay, see star 1 saying, look down there, and then you say pointing. So you should not read that part in a way. This is the direction. You should be pointing. I can see my house and our school. So star 1 is pointing at that. Okay. And then you see, sure, and look at all those cars on the freeway, and then you can say, make up at least 2 more things that you see as you fly. So this is our stage direction. And finally, see, bump to a landing and get off. So star 2, we are heading back to the field. So bump to a landing and get off means the actors here, star 1 and star 2, they have to bump to a landing, okay, and get off. So this is stage direction. So when you look at such things, when you have characters, narrators, you have dialogues, you can identify that this piece of writing is a drama or a play. Okay, so this is how you need to identify what? Poetry, prose and drama. So we are, you can say, touching the very, very basic things. Okay, so you will learn more about drama, prose and poetry when you grow older, when you are in higher classes. Okay, so these are the major differences that we need to learn. Okay, we want you to understand. So whenever, okay, you read a piece of writing, I feel that now you have that, you can say, you will look at that writing through the eyes of what? You have to look at like a kind of critical reading. You have to do, oh, this sort of writing. You cannot just plainly read the things. So you need to identify this type of writing. Oh, I know this is persuasive writing. This is argumentative writing. This is a piece of poetry. This is prose. Okay, and you can just in a way identify, this is very creative. Lot of, you can say, literary devices are used in this piece of paragraph, whereas in some you don't find that, right? And then in drama you can look at the different elements. Okay, are there all the things, or sometimes see all the elements may not be there in one piece, like in poetry, right? You may not find all the poetic devices. Okay, it's not necessary, but at least you have to find some, right? So this is how you need to identify the different text structure and the craft when you do a reading, right? When you do reading, when you have a piece of writing with you and you are reading, please look at all these structural elements and understand the purpose behind each. Okay, so see you in the next session. So meanwhile, in a couple of minutes, Ketin Sathargila will take his next session. Okay, thank you.